Hi, it's Mary. I hope you are all doing well. A couple weeks ago we did a video on the early blooming spring flowers in the woods, and at that time I said I would do a follow-up with some of the later blooming flowers. So we're going to today take a look at some of the early blooming summer flowers. And we'll start with the shrub behind me. This is the downy arrowwood. And it has clusters of small white flowers with 5 leaves. And I will bring you in closer for a look at the downy arrowwood. So here is a close-up of the downy arrowwood. We've got 2 leaves outside the around the flowers, and then the flowers right there, some of them are open here and some of them aren't, but if you look there you can see 5 petals on that beautiful flower. We'll take a look at the wild columbine next. So it's an orange, red, yellow flower. It's got 5 tubes that join together to make the flower, and the flower hangs upside down. It's bell-shaped. This flower has nectar up in this area of the tube. Up in this area of the tubes it gets nectar, and it's a favorite of hummingbirds because they can put their long tongues up the tube and feed. Next, we'll take a look at the wild lily of the valley. So it grows on a stalk. It has the large leaf. Sometimes there's 2 large leaves, and then it has this spike of white flowers. So these are the leaves of the wild sarsaparilla. If you look below the leaves, you see their flowers, and they're globes of flowers, and they're individual ones, and they're small flowers in a globe together. So it's a cluster of a globe of flowers. This is another wild lily of the valley. I think it just gives you a better idea of what the plant looks like in general. So tucked back here is blue-eyed grass, which is, some people call it blue star. It's actually not a grass at all. It is a wild iris. So if you look at it from the side, and if I move this out of the way, there we go, its stem kind of does look like a blade of grass, so it's easy to understand why people might have thought that's what it was. So those are some wild sarsaparilla where the leaves off the top kind of got eaten away, so you can get a really good look at what the flowers look like. Just another look at the wild columbine where you can see the looping stem at the top. The plant I really enjoy. It has long stems, lots of leaves, and then at the end there is a cluster of tiny white flowers. And I actually don't know what this plant is, so if you do and you want to let me know, I would really appreciate that. I'd like to read more about it and find out more about it. And there is just a grouping of 3 of the blue-eyed grass together. So next we have the dwarf phlox. And I'm not sure if these are originally a wildflower or not, but they definitely grow wild now. They are a bright pink flower, and they have 5 petals. And they actually, I'm going to move you, oh, right there. You can see that there's a long tube at the base of the petals, and actually Butterflies and hummingbirds both like to feed from the phlox. So these grow along the side of the road. I believe they are called Hoary alyssum. So they're just clusters of tiny white flowers, and the flowers are kind of star-shaped. So sometimes smaller flowers can be really intricate and beautiful, and I guess I really think that these are. So I know that I showed you the violets last time, but they really do bloom for a long time, and since they still are blooming, I thought I'd show them to you again. I'm going to try to get a front view of the flower, like lower down, so you can take a look at what that looks like. So that's just another quick one of the wild lily of the valley. There is a lovely dragonfly for us. And if anybody knows what kind that is, I would love to know. So here is another flowering shrub. This one just started opening. And you'll see that it is long tubes hanging down again, so my guess is going to be that hummingbirds like to feed on that. I'm going to move you up a little bit so you can see the ones growing right above that. And this, I believe, is a honeysuckle. So that is what they look like before they open. And that is after they open. Well, some of them. And this is what they look like from the bottom. And I know a lot of people call wild columbine honeysuckle, but they're actually two different plants. And now you know the difference. So we also have wild strawberries here. And there is another one, and you can see right next to them, there are leaves with the 3 leaves, and the strawberries themselves, the flowers have 5 petals, and 1 more. And we actually have a lot of strawberry plants around. We don't really see a lot of the strawberries. I think the animals end up eating them, and that's all right with me. So that was a look at some of the early blooming summer flowers in our woods. Couple words of advice before I leave you. So I just walked through a lot of places where wood tick and deer ticks like to hang out. So when I go in, I'm actually going to do a check over to make sure that I don't have any wood or deer ticks on me. That'll help me protect myself, but also if I do get bit later, I will know that I'll have a better range of when I actually got bit. The other thing is, in walking through those areas, I really did make sure not to trample on or damage any of the foliage that's growing or any other things that are growing. Like, you want to make sure that when you're in nature, you're respecting nature. You're remembering that it's wild, and you don't want to do things that are going to harm nature. Like, there was a point where it would have been easier just to rip out a piece of grass so I could better show you a plant, but instead I just moved it around over a little so that I could show it to you without causing any harm. That's all from the woods today. Have a great rest of your summer, and we will see you again soon. Thank you.